I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
And away we go, episode 1285 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Friday, March 20th, 2026. It is the first day of spring in 2026. 10:46 a.m. Eastern marks the official start of spring this year. This also is day 2 of the first round of the 2026 NCAA Tournament for Division I men's basketball. Day 1 included games for 2 of the remaining 3 teams of the Mid-Atlantic region in the tournament. Number 16 seeded Howard got routed by number 1 seeded Michigan, 101-80 at KeyBank Center in Buffalo on Thursday night. But number 11 seeded VCU beat number 6 seeded North Carolina 82-78 in overtime at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina on Thursday evening. The Rams overcame a 19-point second-half deficit. What a win. Analysis and discussion of Howard and VCU later in the show. As never forget, this is the podcast that follows Washington, D.C. area sports so that you don't have to. Hello and welcome to this Friday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, the first of 2 conversations on this podcast in the coming days with a good friend of the podcast, Washington Commanders insider JP Finlay of NBC4. We with JP on this installment of the podcast. We'll discuss the extent to which the Commanders have upgraded their roster with what they've done in free agency so far this offseason, how JP views the issue of quarterback Jayden Daniels' durability, the true motivation for the team going with more under-center snaps for Daniels, whether the Commanders acquiring San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk this offseason is an inevitability, whether the Commanders might re-sign unrestricted free agent receiver Deebo Samuel Sr., and more. JP Finlay, next segment with Commanders Intel, and on the lead up to our chat with JP, we'll review a busy Thursday for the Commanders in terms of officially announced transactions. And also on the show, I'll discuss our Washington Wizards.
Tolu Smith battles, gets a rebound, and I think the Pistons will take a 24-second violation, and that should bring to an end our proceedings tonight here at Capital One Arena. As always, we appreciate you hanging with us and being part of our basketball community. The Pistons win it 117-95.
Dave Johnson and Glenn Consor on the Washington Wizards radio network. We are all part of this Wizards basketball community. We, as a community, have endured a lot. We perhaps need to have a community meeting about that. But you know what? The tank does continue to go well. The Wizards now have lost 14 consecutive games, a 117-95 loss to the Detroit Pistons at Capital One Arena on Thursday night. Before we get to feedback, news from 2026 Washington National Spring Training in West Palm Beach, Florida. The Nats on Thursday morning announced multiple roster cuts, principal among them having optioned outfielder Robert Hassel III and starting pitcher Josiah Gray to AAA Rochester. The Hassel demotion was a bit of a surprise. The Gray demotion was not, as he's not truly being demoted. This is more about managing his workload, with him coming off 2 consecutive lost seasons, off on July 24th, 2024, having undergone both Tommy John surgery and an internal brace procedure on his right UCL. But the Nats roster for the start of the 2026 regular season is coming into focus. Opening day is this Thursday. Nats at the Chicago Cubs this Thursday afternoon at 2:20 in Game 1 of a 3-game series. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. 3 Thursdays ago, March 5th, episode 1274, read an email from Dave in Israel regarding the Commanders' helmet for their Super Bowl-era alternate uniform being the wrong shade of burgundy. As Dave put it, the helmet was more cranberry than burgundy. And I said that I looked at the helmet from the Super Bowl-era alternate uniform and looked at the Redskins helmet from the Super Bowl era, and it depended on which photos you looked at in terms of whether there was a difference in the burgundy for each helmet. Well, an update via this email from Dave. Writes Dave, "Hi Al. Seems like the Skins heard me on your show. They've gone to the gloss helmet and gold face mask." Thank you for the email, Dave. And he in his email includes a link to a post on X from FB Helmet Guy at FB_helmet_guy. He has more than 58,000 followers, and he had a post on X this past Monday night, noted something from recent Commanders footage that happened to make visible part of the team's equipment room. Quote, "Check out the gloss helmets and gold face masks stored in the Commanders equipment room. The team's primary helmets will be switching from satin to gloss shells and from burgundy to gold face masks beginning this season," end quote. So A, yet another reason to believe that the Commanders are making the Super Bowl-era alternate uniform the team's primary uniform. And B, it does appear as if the team is making the helmet even more of a Redskins-like helmet. Great work by Dave and staying on top of this. The Commanders cannot make the Super Bowl-era alternate uniform the Redskins-like alternate uniform the team's primary uniform soon enough. Like, this to me is such a no-brainer. And don't forget this, the Commanders late night on Sunday night, February 8th, shortly after the end of Super Bowl 60, put up a post on X with the message, quote, "Turn the page, hashtag raise hail," end quote. The post contained a drawing of Commanders players getting ready to come out from their tunnel onto the field at Northwest Stadium. The players in the drawing were wearing not the Commanders' primary uniform, but the team's Super Bowl-era alternate uniform, the Redskins-like alternate uniform. And maybe the biggest sign that we've had that uniform is about to become the team's primary uniform. Enjoy yourself watching the NCAA Tournament this weekend with no worry. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Well, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Make Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Enjoy drinks with friends, enjoy drinks while watching the big game, and don't sacrifice your productivity the next day. Start your night with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol and wake up ready to show up strong at work, clear-headed, focused, and back to business. Go to zbiotics.com/Galdi, and you'll get 15% off your first order when you use the promo code Galdi at checkout. Plus, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Also, subscriptions are available for maximum consistency. That's zbiotics.com/Galdi. Use the promo code Galdi at checkout for 15% off.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar Sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
If you happen to be listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can write a review of the podcast saying that you like it. The review can be just a sentence or two, but the reviews help out the podcast a lot. Thank you for doing them. The Washington Commanders on Thursday officially announced a number of transactions. So the team on Thursday morning officially announced having re-signed unrestricted free agent left guard Chris Paul. The team on Thursday morning officially announced having signed unrestricted free agent receiver and former Washington receiver Deebo Brown. The team on Thursday morning officially announced having re-signed unrestricted free agent running back Jeremy McNichols. The team on Thursday morning officially announced having signed safety Jeremy Reaves to a contract extension in a move that had not been previously reported. The contract extension reportedly keeps Reaves under contract through the 2027 season. And the team on Thursday afternoon officially announced having signed unrestricted free agent running back Jerome Ford. The Chris Paul re-signing may be the most surprising re-signing by the Commanders this offseason, mainly because the expectation had been that Paul would have a healthy market, but it appears that his market ended up being disappointing. And if that was the case, that was to the Commanders' benefit. I'm glad that they re-signed Paul. Chris Paul, in the 2025 regular season, supplanted Brandon Coleman as the Commanders' number 1 left guard and started each of the Commanders' final 15 games. He, over those 15 games, played on 100% of the team's offensive snaps. Chris Paul, Deebo Brown, Jeremy McNichols, Jeremy Reaves, and Jerome Ford all did press conferences on Thursday. This is Paul on Thursday morning on his experience in free agency, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Paul, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Paul.
Interesting experience. It was all the emotions, a lot of fun, a lot of nerves, but all in all, it was cool to experience it for the first time, and I'm so grateful to be back home.
Did you hear anything throughout this process from other teams about maybe either what more they would want, or do you feel like there's more like, hey, this is what else I have to prove?
I think most importantly, as a player, I believe that I'm just scratching the surface of what I can be, and I personally will just always be looking for ways that I can individually improve, and so it wasn't more so much what like any other team had to say, and it really wasn't anything negative, but I'm just excited to keep getting more opportunities and keep putting my best foot forward.
Nikki?
Hi, Chris. Congratulations. So did you have offers from other teams, and what ultimately led you back to Washington? Why did you want to come back here?
Absolutely. I've always said that I'm an inaugural Commander. And it was kind of cool to be in the draft class that was here when we sort of rebranded. And so this organization just has a lot of sentimental value to me. So as many offers that may have been received from other teams, I knew that in any event, I would be leaning towards being a Commander.
Chris Paul, an inaugural Commander. He considers himself an inaugural Commander. Well, he's not wrong. The Commanders took Paul in the 7th round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Tulsa. The 2022 season was the team's first season as the Commanders. But how many of you cringed when you heard Paul call himself an inaugural Commander?
I've always said that I'm an inaugural Commander.
Yes, an inaugural Commander. So you look at what the Commanders have done in free agency so far this offseason. We have contract extensions for left tackle Laramie Tunsil, center/guard Nick Allegretti, and safety Jeremy Reeves. We have the following re-signings of pending unrestricted free agents / actual unrestricted free agents: quarterback Marcus Mariota, receiver Traylon Burks, running back Jeremy McNichols, left guard Chris Paul, tackle/guard Andrew Wiley, offensive tackle Trent Scott, interior defensive lineman Shai Tuttle, edge defenders Dietrich Wise Jr. and Drake Jackson, kicker Jake Moody, and punter Tress Way. We have the following unrestricted free agent acquisitions: tight end Chig Okonkwo, receivers De'Ami Brown and Van Jefferson, running backs Rashad White and Jerome Ford, interior defensive lineman Tim Settle, linebacker Leo Chanel, edge defenders Adafe Owe, Calebon Chason, and Charles Omenahu, cornerback Amik Robertson, and safety Nick Cross. We have the following unrestricted free agent defections: quarterback Josh Johnson, running back Chris Rodriguez Jr., edge defender Jacob Barton, and cornerbacks Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenogany. And we have the team having released center Tyler Biotish and cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. I am very pleased to welcome back to the Al Galdi podcast, for the first of two conversations, Washington Commanders insider JP Finlay of NBC4, for which he is the host of All Ears with JP Finlay. He also is the co-host of B. Mitch and Finlay on 106.7 The Fan, weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. He also is the co-host of the Beltway Football Podcast. You can follow JP on X at JP Finlay NBCS. He has a terrific YouTube channel as well at JP Finlay DC. Hey, JP, how are you?
Quite an intro, Galdi. Thank you very much, dude.
Great to talk to you. Has the Commanders roster this offseason been upgraded enough to where the roster is a true playoff caliber roster? And, that may be an unfair question, because you could argue that the team's roster last season was playoff caliber and that the season just got mangled by injury. But is the roster as currently constructed a playoff caliber roster?
I think they're a playoff caliber team if Jayden Daniels plays, starts, finishes 15 games. And I would have said that last year. I think so much of the NFL is driven by quarterback play. And when Jayden was healthy and great, they were really good. And last year he started and finished 4 games. You're not going to win a whole bunch. So I think it's fair to say, now let's be clear, that's not me predicting a playoff berth in March, but playoff caliber in a league that's incredibly topsy-turvy and nobody knows what's going to happen one year to the next, sure, they could be playoff caliber.
It's funny, for all of the talk about what the Commanders have done and will do this offseason, you could argue that the number one determining factor of how their 2026 season goes is something that has nothing to do with this offseason: the health of the QB1, Jayden Daniels. Daniels, in the 2025 season, played in just 7 of the team's 17 regular season games. But, and I keep coming back to this, and maybe I'm trying to talk myself into something, but Daniels, over 5 seasons as a collegiate QB1, played in 55 of a possible 57 games. Daniels, in his all-time great 2024 rookie NFL season, played in all 20 of the Commanders' regular season and postseason games. His overall track record is one of durability. But yes, his body type and style of play are causes for concern. What's your take on the issue of Daniels' durability?
I think it's tough, because perhaps this is contradictory, right? But I think it's overblown. I also think the 7 games last year could have probably been 10, maybe 9, and they shut him down late in the year, which I think was the right call. But if it was all about just proving Jayden can go out there and play, he could have played those last couple of weeks. He was practicing in full. Maybe they were just being extra cautious that he didn't take another shot to the elbow or something. But I think, to your point, you got to look total body of work. You got to look at the dynamic rookie season where he started every game. And he did come out of a few games, but honestly, you look around the NFL, and Josh Allen's kind of a unicorn, and you wonder what'll happen with Josh Allen in kind of that same Cam Newton mold, where you got these incredibly big, strong guys that are physical, and eventually it breaks down. But Joe Burrow misses time, Lamar misses time. Most quarterbacks miss time. You don't want that to be the situation with Jayden, obviously. But I think I think you got to withhold any sort of judgment. I know that was a knock on him, I suppose, in the draft process. Was like, just with that body type, you got to wonder if he can handle it. If he was getting injured running outside of the pocket, I think maybe it'd be a different conversation, but that's really not how these injuries have happened. It's been super weird and fluky. I think if there's one like coaching point from last year specific to Jayden's health, it's if you throw an interception, do not try to make the tackle. And like the great quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like those guys weren't trying to go after anybody. And I think that'll come with experience, but I lean towards the side of last year was fluky.
The Commanders with David Blau as offensive coordinator going with more under center snaps for Jayden Daniels. Is that more about keeping Daniels healthy or more about just doing better offense?
I think it's about balanced offense and balanced looks for the defense and really trying to like mirror the run in the pass game and honestly just running like a more pro style offense. I don't want to knock Cliff's offense because it can work, especially when your quarterback's healthy. I mean, that offense was great in 24, but he's also the only dude running it in a copycat league where people try to lift the most basic things from each other. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Jayden's a super accurate passer. What if he gets the opportunity of these receivers gaining more separation through some play action? So I don't know that it's necessarily directly to protect Jayden more, but I think if you run a more balanced offense, and that's not necessarily like straight runs versus pass plays, the numbers don't seem as skewed as you would think, but the offense never seemed balanced in Cliff's time, and I think that's what they want to create.
Much more with JP Finlay in moments, but if you enjoyed this podcast, check out BGO Blind Pig, the official podcast of BGObsession.com. BGO Blind Pig is great. It is a roundtable discussion of the Washington Commanders. It's like you and a bunch of your buddies who are Commanders fans are hanging out and talking about the team. The conversation is smart and fun and respectful. Enhance your Commanders content. Check out the BGO Blind Pig podcast. And next time you're on YouTube, just search BGO Blind Pig and see what you think. You can find the BGO Blind Pig podcast on YouTube and on any major podcast provider. Make BGObsession.com the home for your burgundy and gold obsession, and make the BGO Blind Pig podcast part of your Commanders podcast rotation. We're talking with Washington Commanders insider JP Finlay of NBC4. We are anticipating the team signing receiver Brandon Aiyuk once the San Francisco 49ers release him, but who knows when that's going to happen. It's also possible that they trade him. Do you view the Commanders acquiring Aiyuk this offseason as a certainty?
I don't look at it with certainty. I feel like if he gets released, and maybe that should be when he gets released, but when he gets released, I think Washington is certainly the leader to sign him. But like, maybe San Fran is being just petty, right? Like, I know that's become the popular theory on the internet. I also think contractually it makes more sense to release him for them, for the cap, after June 1. So I think this thing could take a while. And, like, sure, they could release him with the June 1 designation, but they also might not want to. Because what if you get to Saturday of the draft and, like, one thing I think it's really important for Commanders fans to recognize is, like, we all operate with this mentality like, oh, well, Adam Peters was in San Francisco and knows Brandon Aiyuk well. There are dudes that were in San Francisco all over the league, because of the success the Niners have had. So I don't know that it's completely impossible to envision a scenario where we get to Saturday of the draft and Tennessee, Robert Saleh was in San Francisco, and he calls John Lynch and is like, dude, I'll give you a conditional 6th. BA's got to make the team. You know what I mean? Like, the thought of a draft pick trade isn't that crazy when you think about, I mean, Washington got Deebo last year for a 5th, right? And Deebo didn't have any of this craziness associated with Aiyuk. He could still play, came to DC and had, 800 total yards? I think there's this whole assumption that he will get released and sign with Washington, and I'm just not entirely sure that'll happen. And unless they're going to do it Saturday of the draft, where they have, 2 sevens, right? Like, I just don't think Washington has the assets to be making a trade for a dude that, at least on the surface level, is wholly undependable.
The craziness, as you put it, with Brandon Aiyuk, how concerning should that be for the Commanders?
Well, on top of all the craziness, you've also got the medicals. Like, where is that? And I think that's like the first question for all parties to answer. And the craziness is certainly a factor. AP obviously knows him, but AP also knows John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, and knows that Kyle Shanahan's the one that went to the mat to make sure BA got paid, and then whatever happened just turned around and went completely sideways. So, like, there's a small part of me that obviously the Jayden and Aiyuk friendship is very real. I had a buddy of mine that covers the Niners tell me a story. First time he met Jayden was on the sideline at a Niners playoff game in 23 after Jayden had won the Heisman, and he just came to be there for Brandon Aiyuk. So they're very real close friends. But there's a small part of me, Al, I'm curious what you think. Like, they signed Rachaad White, who was also at Arizona State, also very close friends with Jayden, but there's zero nonsense involved with Rachaad White. And you wonder if, like, fast forward a month, 2 months, and there's like, Jayden, we love your input. We went out and got Rachaad White day 2 of free agency. Just with BA, the numbers didn't work. You know what I mean? And then it gives a little validity to, like, we're going to listen to our quarterback and what he wants and what we want his input, but this just wasn't the right move for us.
Well, to me, Jayden Daniels being buddies with Brandon Aiyuk is not the reason for the Commanders to get Aiyuk. The reason for the Commanders to get Aiyuk is that they believe that he'll be a good player for them. That he's friends with Daniels is fine, but really should not have any bearing on whether they get him. You brought up receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. He is one of the many Commanders unrestricted free agents who remain unsigned. Do you think that the team might re-sign him?
I do not. But I don't say that with, like, malice or anything. Like, I don't see it. But I mean, his market, I always thought Deebo would take a while because he's like a unique, specialized kind of player and needs the right fit. But it's interesting to watch unfold. I mean, Juwan Jennings is still sitting out there too, you know? And you wonder which guy makes more sense. But for all the talk of how Deebo could have fit in Cliff's offense, he was playing in a pretty conventional pro-style offense for Kyle Shanahan for a lot of years and played really well. I don't know for Deebo how, like, what he wants. You know what I mean? And I think, again, I don't know this, but I feel like his primary goal is going to be the biggest contract, and I don't know where that's going to come from.
What the Commanders so need at receiver is for a receiver currently on the team, not named Terry McLaurin, to rise up. I want to focus on three guys: Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and Treylon Burks. We are nearly 6 months away from week 1 of the 2026 regular season. But right now, who do you think will have the best 2026 season out of those three guys?
That is a good question. Just as a receiver, or does the return stuff matter?
Yeah, let's just look at this from a receiving standpoint.
Okay. Dude, part of me wants to say Burks, but his injury history is so significant that it's hard to count on that. I thought Luke was really trending well. I think year one between Luke and Jayden, there just wasn't a whole lot of trust in the pass game. I think that was improving last year, and I think Luke improved a lot as a receiver last year. Lane, they got to figure out what they want to do and where he fits in kind of this new offense too. I think Burks, to me, like, could be an outside guy opposite Terry, and so there's like a clear role, and I think he could be a really good possession guy for you. So I will say Burks, and I mean for his sake, he's a really nice young man. I hope he stays healthy, and maybe finally you start to see the potential that made him first round pick.
Washington Commanders insider JP Finlay of NBC4. JP, thanks, and we'll talk soon.
Anytime, Galdi. I always appreciate it, man.
Okay, while we have a moment, I did want to hit on this regarding safety and special teams ace Jeremy Reaves. So the Commanders signing him to this contract extension and now having him under contract through the 2027 season sets him up to be with the team for 10 seasons, a decade, 2018 through 2027. Reaves entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent out of South Alabama with the Philadelphia Eagles in April 2018. The Redskins signed him to their practice squad in September 2018 and promoted him to their active roster in December 2018. He, over the years, has been released and brought back by Washington a bunch of times and has been practice squadded by Washington a bunch of times, but he now is set up to be with the team for a decade. I don't know that most people recognize that, but yeah, 10 years. Now, we got to get there first, but he now is set up to get there. That is remarkable for an undrafted free agent. Such a credit to him. And, oh, by the way, Reaves is about to get married. We, on Thursday morning, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Reaves.
Congrats.
Thank
on
you.
A lot of things. Just having been through everything with this organization, what does it mean to you to get yet another extension with them?
Like I said, I mean, knowing how my career started, I was an undrafted 8th-round pick, and I bounced around on the practice squad and up and down for, the better part, I guess you could say, of my good years in the league when I was younger. And, getting the opportunity in that 5th year and becoming All-Pro and a Pro Bowler, never looking back. And now, I'm on, I guess, my 3rd contract, where in reality, like, that seemed like a distant thought at the time. But, the persistence and the steadiness of how I approached every day and every year, it's amazing, man. It just goes to show, man, like, it does not matter what people believe about you or what people think about you or what stats or numbers or any of that stuff says about you, right? Like, the belief starts with you, and how you put your best foot forward every day is where you get to where you want to go. None of those other things matter. And so if anybody needed a testament to it, you can just look at me, because I'm living proof that it can be done. So I'm just grateful. I'm thankful for every hard part of life that I've experienced, every downfall, every loss. It all shaped me and made me who I am today. And so I can sit here in front of you guys 2 days before my wedding and talk about this.
Yeah, good stuff from Jeremy Reaves right there. A lot of powerful motivational speak from Reaves on Thursday morning. We later, in his press conference, had this exchange between Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus and Reaves.
Could you talk about, you said something about belief. Obviously, the Commanders believed in you with this extension, but could you talk about your belief in yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, belief comes through trial and error. Belief comes through failing. Belief also comes through winning, right? When you fall, I think the greatest lesson of falling is learning to pick yourself back up again. And getting back to the drawing board. So falling and failing actually was what made me have belief in myself, because once I got back to where I needed to go, right, once I was cut and worked myself back and cut again and work myself back, and then you finally break a roster, right, that's where belief starts to come in. And then when you tear your ACL on a contract year after going all pro, you fall down again with a new staff coming in, you have no idea what to expect or if they're going to want you or whatever it may be. And then you build yourself back up again to come back and play in 6-7 months. That's where belief is forged. Belief is forged every day. It's forged in the things that people don't see, right? How you talk to yourself, how you approach each day, what you tell yourself. The mind is a powerful muscle, man. Like, it's the most powerful muscle in the body. The body's going to do whatever the mind tells it to. And so it was just, for me, it was just the constant reassurance of myself. Like, yeah, it sucks right now. Yeah, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm going to get there. I have my goals written down. In 2019, I told the world I was going to be a Pro Bowler, and I was a practice squad guy. And then you fast forward down the road, and I became a Pro Bowler. And so, like, I just told myself that. I trained my mind to think that, and then the body followed. And so, you know, it's kind of that's the recipe, honestly.
All right. Hey, if you have a case, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, and mention that Al Galdi sent you. You could call 202-902-7611. You could also visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com, and submit for a free, no-obligation case review. The NACE Law Group, it features compassionate lawyers and zealous advocates for its clients. Led by the great Chris Nace and founded in 1979, the NACE Law Group is a Washington, D.C.-based family law firm that handles medical malpractice, personal injury, birth injury, legal malpractice, and consumer protection cases, offering aggressive advocacy for victims in Washington, D.C. and West Virginia. The NACE Law Group is outstanding. It will fight for you and your family. The NACE Law Group has recovered millions of dollars for the sick and injured. If you have a case, contact the NACE Law Group. We always hope that all is well with you, but if you have an issue, if you have concerns, contact the NACE Law Group. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Let's talk college basketball. We on Thursday in the first round of the NCAA Tournament had games for two teams of the Mid-Atlantic region, Howard and VCU. Howard lost, but VCU won, and what a win it was. Number 11 seeded VCU beat number 6 seeded North Carolina 82-78 in overtime at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina on Thursday evening. This certainly was an upset in terms of seeding, but not so much in terms of betting. VCU for this game was just a 2.5-point underdog per multiple outlets, but the Rams overcame a 19-point second-half deficit. They in the second half trailed by 19 points at 56-37. VCU then won the rest of the game 45-22. Quite the surge by the Rams. Their defense down the stretch was superb. How about this? They held UNC without a made field goal over the final 2 minutes, 44 seconds of regulation, and for the entirety of overtime. The Rams won the overtime 7-3, as UNC's only points in the overtime came via 3 made free throws by 6'3" Seth Trimble. An outstanding game for 6'3" Terrence Hill Jr. He was VCU's leading scorer. He played for 40 minutes as a reserve. He had 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists versus 3 turnovers. He went 7 for 10 on threes, did go just 6 for 13 on twos, and 1 for 2 on free throws, but a tremendous performance by Terrence Hill. And you take a step back and you look at VCU. It, in March 2025, lost its head coach, Ryan Odom, as he left to become Virginia's head coach. VCU in March 2025 hired Phil Martelli Jr. as head coach. He spent the previous 2 seasons as Bryant's head coach. He is the son of former St. Joseph's head coach Phil Martelli. And Phil Martelli Jr., in this, his first season as VCU head coach, has led the Rams to the second round of the NCAA Tournament. VCU now has won 17 of its last 18 games. But look at the bigger picture with VCU. VCU this season made the NCAA Tournament for the 15th time over the last 22 seasons in which there have been NCAA tournaments. So remember, no NCAA tournament in 2020 due to COVID. This run for VCU has happened with 7 different head coaches. Jeff Capel, Anthony Grant, Shaka Smart, Will Wade, Mike Rhodes, Ryan Odom, and Phil Martelli Jr. How many other programs in college basketball have done this? 15 NCAA tournament appearances over 22 seasons with 7 different head coaches. This run started with the 2003-2004 season. VCU prior to that season had made the NCAA tournament just once over the previous 18 seasons. Is there a more underrated program in college basketball than VCU? All VCU does is reload at head coach and make NCAA tournament appearances. We, during Phil Martelli Jr.'s postgame press conference on Thursday night, had this exchange.
What did your dad tell you before the game? And what does it mean to you to kind of put your name up there and kind of follow in his footsteps with this?
Yeah, he said go down, get a 19-point deficit in the second half, and then just start coaching. No, I mean, he's the same always. To him, it's always about people, and he's always that. Pour into your guys, pour into the people, pour into the staff. Love those guys as much as you can love them. Give them everything you got. So, it's never the funny thing with him is it's never X's and O's. Like, we never talk X's and O's. He never says to me, like, hey, here's a really good play to run. Here's you should be playing more of this, do more of that. Like, he never does that. But it's always about keep your guys focused, keep the, look out for this, make sure you're blocking out distractions, all those things. And it is awesome. It's awesome. He won his first A-10 championship his second year, and he went to the Sweet 16. So we're semi-even right now, I guess. Winning in your first year and winning a game your first year will make us semi-even, but we got to try and top what he did.
All right, and we later, during the Phil Martelli Jr. postgame press conference on Thursday night, had this exchange.
Coach Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Two-part question. First of all, did you notice, it looked like from the side that North Carolina was starting to tire down the stretch. Did you notice that? And secondly, what does it mean for the program? I think it's been since 2016, since the last tournament win. What does this mean for you guys?
So I did notice that in the last 4 minutes we said that I think it was 5 at that point in time. Like we're kind of built for that. Like I said, we compete every day, and our strength coach Danny Roos, again, as good as there is in the country, and he chooses to stay at VCU. He has everybody pulling him, NBA teams, all these power fours, they all want him, but he loves VCU and wants to be at VCU, and he trains those guys and gets them ready. And then the way that we practice, we're up and down all the time. We're ready to go. So I did, and a couple of those shots that went short, I said, all right, we've got them right here. If we can just make a couple more shots, we're going to have a shot. And what it means for the program is watch, this is a storied program. I'm very fortunate to be here. And, there are a lot of people, a lot of players, coaches that came before that built this foundation of this program. We're lucky to be the current group. As my dad would say, we're not the greatest, we're just the latest. And, we're fortunate to be at a great program. I am very fortunate. I'm fortunate for Ed McLaughlin. I'm fortunate for Dr. Michael Rao, our entire administration, everybody that has trusted me and trusted our staff with such a storied program. One of the big words, in there is legacy, right? With all the tournaments and the big shots and the wins and all that, and we're just trying to add to that legacy. We're not trying to create anything new. We're just trying to build on what's been built upon and, just keep adding stories to that legacy.
And it has become quite the legacy. Cannot say enough good things about VCU. Next up for number 11-seeded VCU is a game against number 3-seeded Illinois at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina on Saturday night at approximately 7:50 in the second round of the NCAA Tournament. Meantime, number 16-seeded Howard got blown out by number 1-seeded Michigan 101-80 at KeyBank Center in Buffalo on Thursday night in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. The Bison never held a lead. They got outscored by Michigan in the paint. You ready for this? 52-18. But still, what a season for Howard. It won the MEAC regular season title. Howard won the MEAC tournament for a third time in 4 seasons, and thus made the NCAA tournament for a third time in 4 seasons. And Howard notched the first win in an NCAA tournament game in program history. The 86-83 win over number 16-seeded UMBC at UD Arena in Dayton, Ohio on Tuesday evening in a first 4 game. This was season number 7 for Kenneth Blakeney as Howard head coach. Blakeney went to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, then played collegiately at Duke. We, during the postgame press conference of Blakeney on Friday night, had these exchanges.
Coach Marquel Slaughter, Buffalo News. As well as your team played this week, do you think HBCUs can finally stop getting first 4 games. What do you think should be done, or do you think you've done enough?
Thank you for the question. Honestly, that's I really want to say that, like, it's I understand the question, but to make it to the tournament is such a special thing. And however you get here, if it's playing in the first 4, if you go right to the tournament, man, like, this is the NCAA tournament, and this is what little kids across the world dream about watching. You know, putting myself and my 2-year-old, my 4 or 5-year-old self watching NCAA tournament and just dreaming one day of playing there. And, you know, however you can get here is awesome. It's amazing, and it's a blessing.
All right, in the back.
Paul Gotham with Pick and Splinters. You talked yesterday about the pride of being here and representing Howard and whatnot. You've been on a lot of big stages yourself personally. Do you allow yourself at any point tonight or yesterday to sort of step back from the moment and take it into account on how important it was for you and the university?
It's really challenging for me to process stuff, and it takes a while. I've been trying to remove myself from the intensity of what just happened out there, and I can't right now because it's such a it's just how I'm wired. It's just my DNA, and I love competing. There's nothing outside of my family and, you know, these young men that I am so blessed and honored to mentor and to coach and to teach. I'm wired to compete like 24 hours a day. Naomi and I were playing soccer last night, and you know, I'm competing as much as I can. Like I'm wired to compete. So it's hard for me to turn it off. It really is. But I do with my family that has been so supportive and so great. My wife Tracy, my daughter Naomi, and that's kind of how I turn it off, I guess.
Yeah, a salute to Kenneth Blakeney and Howard on a really nice season. The Washington Wizards franchise record for consecutive losses in a regular season is 16 games. The Wizards could tie that record by the end of this weekend. They on Thursday night lost their 14th consecutive game, a 117-95 loss to the Detroit Pistons at Capital One Arena in the Wizards' second of 2 consecutive home games against the Eastern Conference leading Pistons. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season now are 16-53, second worst record in the NBA. The Pistons in this regular season now are an Eastern Conference best, 50-19. The Pistons are what we want the Wizards to be, as the Wizards are in the midst of being, of course, a rebuilding and tanking team. The Wizards in this game never held a lead. They, for this game, were without a bunch of guys. Trae Young did not play for a second consecutive game due to a right quad contusion. Bilal Coulibaly did not play for a second consecutive game due to a right heel injury. Keyshawn George did not play for a 9th consecutive game due to a partial tear of the UCL in his left elbow. Anthony Davis did not play for a 20th time in 20 games since being acquired by the Wizards via trade on February 5th, what was 2026 NBA trade deadline day. He's not playing due to a finger sprain on his left hand. D'Angelo Russell did not play for a 20th time in 20 games since being acquired by the Wizards via the Anthony Davis trade. Russell is being listed as not being with the Wizards. He is not expected to ever play for the Wizards. Leaky Black was not available for a 3rd consecutive game due to a sprained left ankle, and Cam Whitmore is done for the season due to right shoulder deep vein thrombosis. Now, the Wizards did get back Alex Sarr. He returned from a 2-game absence, did not play in the first game due to right hamstring injury management, did not play in the second game due to a left big toe injury, but he on Thursday night struggled. Sarr in 21 minutes, 26 seconds as a starter, had just 2 points, just 3 rebounds, 2 assists versus 2 turnovers, and 2 blocks. he went just 1 for 12 from the field. 0 for 3 on threes, and 1 for 9 on twos. He did not attempt a free throw. This may have been his worst game of the season. A bright spot for the Wizards was Tristan Vukcevic.
Hash mark right wing Carrington. Driving on Ron Holland, right elbow, gets in the paint. Left side lane, bounce pass Vukcevic. Right corner for three, it's there! Oh, Tristan Vukcevic, just step back, a three. 98-86. Wizards trying to hang in.
Dave Johnson on the Washington Wizards radio network. The Wizards' leading scorer was Tristan Vukcevic. He, in just 17:31 as a reserve, had 21 points and 4 rebounds. Did also have 1 assist versus 4 turnovers, and did go just 4 for 6 on free throws, but he went 3 for 3 on threes and 4 for 5 on twos. Also, Will Riley, another good game for him. He, in 39:41 as a starter, had 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist versus 2 turnovers. He went 4 for 8 on threes, also went just 1 for 5 on twos and 1 for 2 on free throws. The Wizards this weekend have games on back-to-back evenings, home to the Oklahoma City Thunder Saturday evening at 5 and at the New York Knicks Sunday night at 7:30. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Monday show, episode 1286. We'll have a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Monday's show, I'll talk college basketball, Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. We had college basketball this weekend, have Virginia and VCU in the NCAA Tournament, and George Washington and Liberty in the NIT. We have number 3 seeded Virginia versus number 14-seeded Wright State at Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia on Friday afternoon at 1:50 in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. We have number 11-seeded VCU versus number 3-seeded Illinois at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina on Saturday night at approximately 7:50 in the second round of the NCAA Tournament. We have George Washington at number 1-seeded New Mexico on Sunday night at 8 in the second round of the NIT. We have Liberty at number 2-seeded Nevada on Saturday night at 9 in the second round of the NIT. The Caps this weekend have 2 games, home to the New Jersey Devils Friday night at 7 and home to the Colorado Avalanche Sunday afternoon at 12:30. And the Wizards this weekend have games on back-to-back evenings, home to the Oklahoma City Thunder Saturday evening at 5 and at the New York Knicks Sunday night at 7:30. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
I've always said that I'm an inaugural Commander.